Just a reminder before today's programme that if you've missed the previous instalment of the Ident Review Extra, it can be viewed here on the channel where we took a look at the rather mystical crystal ball. And now, here on AMTV, the latest episode of the Ident Review Extra, and this time, you better keep to a safe distance, things are going to get explosive. Hello, and welcome to the Ident Review Extra, the spin-off show that takes a look at one individual ident each episode and gives it the review it deserves. And today we continue our marathon through the BBC2 idents of the 1990s. Today on our BBC2 journey, we continue looking at the second main wave of idents that hit the channel in late 1993. And this time, we're looking at a sequence that certainly is very popular, very recognisable, and certainly explosive. Without further ado, introducing Firecracker. This too certainly is a glutton for punishment. Despite it being quite explosive in terms of firecrackers literally going off on screen, I find it quite a peaceful and absorbing watch. Maybe it's because the explosions themselves are mostly muffled by the gorgeous soundtrack, which of course is perfectly synced up to each firecracker going off. It may sound weird, but muffling the sound of the explosions kind of helps bring out the sereneness of this ident. To see each one go off, to see the resulting movement that occurs to the two, the smoke that starts to fill up the screen, and the eventual finishing image of a charred two, but one that is still recognisable to viewers, and looks great even though ripped apart. A strong design and central concept that made Firecracker ascend to one of the most remembered idents from this era.
Now, in a special programme from Newsnight, Peter Hobday reports on an attempt to unravel the secrets of a famous ship, the Lusitania File.
Debuting in late 1993, from what I've been able to gather, Firecracker did indeed survive the BBC corporate rebrand of 1997, but whilst many idents that did would go on to air until a complete channel rebrand of BBC2 in 2001, it seems that Firecracker was phased out slightly earlier, around 1999. Presumably to clear some airspace for the group of idents that would debut the following year, in 2000. Here's a clip of Firecracker later in its life, post-BBC corporate rebrand.
Quality laughs all the way with Never Mind the Buzzcocks and If I Ruled the World still to come here on BBC2. First, avoid the red hot poker, and enjoy pure comedy, Green.
So as the new millennium began, Firecracker disappeared from viewers' screens, which I think is a great shame, as this is definitely one of the most calming, absorbing and visually interesting idents from the entire 1990s. But this was not the end for this sequence, as in 2014, Firecracker along with some of its peers would return to help represent BBC2 in its afternoon classics strand.
There's something fishy going on in Nouvion as Allo Allo continues.
Really nice to see this sequence in HD. For all the attention to detail that there is in this ident, I'm glad it got another chance to shine on the airwaves. Oddly enough, despite being one of the most recognisable and popular BBC2 idents, it would seem that Firecracker was not called in to represent BBC2 during its 50th anniversary that same year in 2014, which I think is a great shame and definitely a missed opportunity. However, a second chance was granted in 2015, as many 90s idents were called back into service, and Firecracker, thankfully, was amongst them.
Well, for Dermot Gavin, there's nothing better in the garden, but lavender is under threat. The Great British Garden Revival in half an hour. First on BBC2 Northern Ireland, we're going underground with Michael Portillo.
Firecracker would broadcast for a few more years until BBC2 went under a rebrand again in 2018, and over nearly 3 decades it has helped carve out its legacy as one of the greatest the channel had to offer. Whether it was its explosive journey, its masterful music, or even just the memorable final image after all the smoke had cleared, Firecracker once again proved the ingenuity and the imagination held by the designers working on the channel's idents in the 1990s. And I hope that should this era of idents be called out again, that we get to see Firecracker shine amongst them once more. And so we've come to the end, but before we go, the final words from our broadcaster. That was the Ident Review Extra. We hope you enjoyed, and that you tune in next time. Keep an eye on the Community tab and the Sunday catch-up for further news about this programme, as well as others here on AMTV. But until next time, have a good week, and we hope that you'll join us again soon. Good night.